Hey, guess what? It's the Fat Fool here. You know what? I thought I'd talk to you guys about why am I called the Fat Fool? How many people remember why I'm called the Fat Fool? A few years ago when I started this channel is because I was kicked out of my property. I used to own a cabin in the woods at Woodland Lakes in Sullivan, Missouri. It's between Sullivan and Potosi. It's a little campground recreational area. I used to own a cabin, and I lived in it for 8.5 years. And Woodland Lakes trusteeship, it took them 7.5 years, going to court, taking me to court back and forth to get a judgment against me to kick me out because I lived in a little 13 square foot of living area with no running water, but I did have electric and I did have Wi-Fi. One has to have something. I used to tote water back and forth up there and stuff, and there was bathhouses out there. It was a campground, so what the heck. So as it took them 7.5 years, they did get a judgment against me. So once they got a judgment against me, saying that I couldn't live there because, I didn't have running water, didn't have a septic tank. So I had eventually had to move out. And since I couldn't use the property as I wanted to, and I had a judgment against me, I had to get some money somewhere, so I had to sell the property. So when I sold the property, I sold the property to a guy. Now the guy lives in my cabin, and he works for the development. Now, of course, they have a few other people that live in campers, and they work for the development and live there full time for the last 2 years since they kicked me out, which doesn't make sense because they worked for 7 years to kick me out, and then now they're allowing people to live in their campers, and someone's living in my cabin that they worked for 7 years to kick me out of because there was no running water. And there's still no running water because you don't have room on my lot to put in a septic tank and to be able to have a bathroom and running water and stuff like that. So it does not make sense to me, but regardless. So after they did that, since I had a fine and I had really no place to live, I had to wander and walk the earth and metal detect and sleep and all that stuff. So until I could pay the fine off, I was known as the Fat Fool. So even though it is all paid off and everything like that, because once I just sold the cabin and stuff to pay off everything, because if I couldn't use it no more, then they couldn't use it no more. So I figured why keep it? They kept me blocked, and it's a gated community, and the cabin was like 4 miles into the woods. So it's like, well, shit, and they wouldn't let me drive back there. You had to walk. So, and my legs wouldn't make 4 miles. So there was no way I'd make it. So I was like, well, so I might as well sell it. So I sold it. So, but that's neither here nor there. But, it's okay. So, but that's why I'm called the Fat Fool. So I thought I'd bring that back up since, people always ask me, like, why did you get called the Fat Fool? Why do you call yourself that? Why? And I'm like, but that's why. So, but I thought I'd bring that up. But I wanted to thank my sponsor. People always say, Rick, how do you keep up, your stuff and being able to metal detect and get your batteries and stuff like that and go to England? So today I want to show you my check from my sponsor. Here is my check from my sponsor, okay? And it is from Capital One. I would like to thank Capital One. Here, this is me. This is Rick Landaker right there. So I'd like to thank Capital One as my sponsor, who keeps me sponsored. I'll be going to England with this check. I'd like to thank them, for my 28 cents. I'm going to be depositing that money today and putting it in there, and I'll be using that money in England. That money will be used in England wisely, very wisely, very, 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 very wisely. So, my sponsor is Capital One. Thank you, Capital One, again. Thank you for the sponsorship. Thank you for the money. I appreciate it. That helps pays for the bungee cords that I give out and some of the fun stuff that I give out and stuff, maybe some of the skull heads that I give out. So if anybody wants a skull head or any of the cool stuff that I usually hand out when I'm out there metal detecting, you never know what you can get when the Fat Fool's there. Sometimes there's fun stuff that shows up when I'm there. You never know. So, hey, but you know what though? I love you guys. So, but this video is pretty long, but I'm gonna let you guys go. So, guess what? I'm gonna sign out. Bye bye.